Okay, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you. A couple of things this morning. I'm actually going to end the meeting a little bit earlier. I was just telling folks there's a big cybersecurity conference here in Tucson that starts at 9 o'clock on the other side of the world. And so I do want to, I won't be there when it starts, but I want to be there fairly early. So I am going to end the meeting a little bit early. So as we normally do, well, first of all, I want to just say some thanks to our sponsors, Care First Arizona, again, Karen Ziegler, Valley Telecom, Khajiit, and Triad, who have been great sponsors and participants in the task force, and we appreciate that. So we do have a few new people this morning, and if you could just take 2 minutes to introduce yourself. Oh, let me just back up a second. So we're going to do, we do have a couple brief presentations this morning and updates. And then, as I said, we may, depending on what the time is, I'm going to ask a few folks to do a little lengthier introduction. But with that, Manny, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Manny Felix. I'm the founder and CEO of AZ Cyber Initiative, and we're a nonprofit really focused on increasing digital and cyber awareness amongst the K-12, really focusing at the high school level, but we do a lot of work with educators as well. So we do several boot camps, cyber boot camps throughout the year during the summer, fall, and spring. And the goal is to, train students and around cyber workforce readiness, but we include all digital access and awareness, draw connections between the students' pre-existing skills into jobs overall in tech, whether that's IT, computer science, anything STEM related. So this task force makes sense for us to be a part of. So happy to be here.
Great, and Manny's going to participate when we get our cybersecurity team going here. He's going to participate. Manny is well known around the state with cybersecurity, and so we're really pleased that he's a busy guy, but we're very pleased that he's going to be participating with us.
Don't believe anything Steve has said. That's all I have to say.
It's all true, everything I said, and then some. So Dave Kasner, glad to have you back.
Yes, you there?
Yeah, I am.
Yes, glad to be back. Sorry, had some family issues going on and I had to deal with those, but I am back.
Yeah, I know, and so we're glad you could be back with us.
Thank you, Steve.
You bet. And let's see who else we have here that's here today. It hasn't been here before. Jim Bascom.
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Jim Bascom. I am recently semi-retired from the private sector. I was with the Zayo Group for many years, and lost interest in what some of the private business was doing, and decided I was gonna throw my hat in the broadband private public sector. Worked with the Commerce Authority back in my Zayo days, and they invited me to be on the Governor's Council for broadband. So I've joined that group, and I'm doing some contract work with Sun Corridor on the middle mile broadband project, as well as they're working with Maricopa County on some grant money for the county. So I'm working as a contractor with that group. And in my spare time, I'm stalking Mile and Eaton. So it's my pleasure to join you guys and learn some of what you've been working on. I've been on the periphery, but now I'm looking forward to get more involved.
Good. Well, thanks, Jim. Welcome. Glad to have you here this morning.
Thanks for the heads up, Jim.
He's now going to get more security. And let's see, Mary Knight. We talked a couple minutes ago, but Mary, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Be happy to, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Mary Knight. I am the Rural Broadband Manager for Coconino County. I just started this week, so this is day 4 for me. my background, a little bit about my background. I was with Flagstaff Unified School District for 30 years, 20 of which were as the Director of Technology. I retired in 2021. And following COVID and remote learning, and just really gave me even a deeper understanding of the needs of our students and their families for connectivity. And when this opportunity came along, I'd had a couple years to catch my breath and thought, let's just jump back in and see what we can do to assist the great work that the folks here in the county have already been doing. And so that's my job, to work with them and folks in the county to see what we can do to improve the connectivity here.
So I've
Happy
been
to be
talking.
here.
Yeah. So first of all, as I told her, we're very privileged. This is what, your 4th day on the job, and here you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Just good timing.
Yeah.
Like to jump
So-
in and get going.
So we've had several people from Coconino who have been attending and have talked with them about have them doing an update on what's happening in Coconino County. So I'll give you a couple of days to kind of get caught up, and then we'll put you on the spot.
Okay, I'll be ready.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa Galt, have we had you before?
Yes, yes.
Well, go ahead and tell us anyway. I
I
always
work
tell
with,
people I have a good memory, just a little short.
I work with Coconino County Community Action. I just
Okay.
got the position of special projects. Uh, we are ACP navigators. Yeah, and we're just here to help in any way that we can.
Sounds great. Well, glad to have you.
Thank
Is
you.
there anybody else new this morning that we haven't talked with yet? Okay. Well, if not, let's just go ahead and jump into the meeting this morning. And so, excuse me. So Maggie, do you have some time to stay on, or do we need to put you on first?
I'm good until 8:30, so whenever works for you all.
Well, then it sounds like we need to put you on first, because it's
I'll be fast.
that's okay. You probably have lots of stuff. Although this is what, the 5th time today of this week I've seen you.
I know. I'm sure you're all sick of me at this point.
Well, there's a lot of folks on this call who are not participating in those meetings, so it's
True.
fine. So I wanted to introduce Maggie Ferry, who is the Intergovernmental Affairs Director for the Governor's Office. And Maggie has done a great job in getting the subcommittees going. And so I've asked her to be here today to kind of give us a quick update. Number of us have been participating in one or more of those groups, but she's the one that's got the bird's eye view of what's happening. So Maggie, going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, as Steve mentioned, I'm the Intergovernmental Affairs Director for Governor Hobbs. I work with municipalities and counties on different issues that pop up, but also have a history of working on broadband and digital inclusion at the federal level. And so once we received the almost $1 billion from BEAD, was tapped to do some of the broadband policy work and now lead her broadband policy portfolio in coordination with the local government work. So earlier this year, the governor announced what she's calling the Interagency and Community Broadband Advisory Council. A few of you who are in attendance today are on that council, and that council's job is to really help inform the state policy on broadband and digital inclusion, and to tap into sort of a combination of folks who are working in the broadband and digital equity space throughout state agencies, throughout community organizations, and kind of ensure that we're all working together in coordination on both BEAD and digital equity dollars. As a part of that council, we have 6 working groups. So while the council is limited to very specific representations from different organizations and state agencies, the working groups themselves are open to the public. So we have 6 working groups: infrastructure and permitting, mapping, digital inclusion, affordability, workforce and outreach. and they meet monthly virtually for us all to kind of huddle and talk about work that's going on in the state and kind of help inform the work that we're doing here at the governor's office, kind of informing policy. So those meetings, as I mentioned, are open to the public. We welcome anyone to join. I can drop my email in the chat for anyone who's interested, and we can get you on the list. At the moment, we just had our inaugural working group meetings this past week. And so I don't have a ton of direction for the working groups yet. They're really designed to make them whatever folks who are working in the space decide they need to be. We've been really, I would say we've been very focused on BEAD and digital equity just because of the NTIA timelines that we're on. And Nicole Umayam, who's the federal program officer who is here on this call today, is doing a very good job at holding us accountable and presenting sort of NTIA research on Arizona and making sure that that informs our work. So that's been a bulk of what we're looking at so far, but we've also talked about ACP, challenge processes, and sort of things beyond the normal scope of broadband and digital inclusion work. So again, I'll put my email in the chat, but if there's anything, any questions you all have, any interest to get involved, please don't hesitate to reach out.
And I want to say again that I think she's done a great job bringing some diverse group of people together and being able to have a good just discussion rather than a webinar and presentations and all that. Certainly there was some introductory presentations that she's done at every meeting, but nonetheless, that I think it's been really good to have an open kind of discussion and getting input from people about what are the issues and things that they wanted to talk about. So again, Maggie, I think you've done a great job with that.
Thank you. And that will be the only time I do a presentation, I promise. those of you who had to listen to that 6 times this week, don't worry about it ever again.
Okay. So people can still participate if they want to, is that right?
Certainly, that folks can join at any point.
Okay.
And you're welcome to join one working group or all 6 or somewhere in the middle, whatever works for you and your schedule and your interest level.
So are you going to do them all in the same week every time?
Man, I hope not. I'm very tired, but we'll see.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Maggie? And of course, Maggie, maybe she mentioned this, is working obviously hand in glove with the broadband office. So that's a great relationship.
Yeah. I was just on the phone with Sandeep this morning, so we all connected and we jive really well together. So although I'll probably direct you to their office if you have really specific broadband questions, happy to serve as a medium however possible.
Maggie, this may be too soon to know the answer to this, but do you anticipate that there's going to be any state legislation this year? I know it's getting kind of late in the season, but and do you anticipate that you're going to make any kinds of requests or recommendations to the legislature this year?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. So I don't know, those of you who are kind of following state legislative work closely might have seen that we're expected to have a shortfall for the next fiscal year. So last year we had a lot of funding available, about $2 billion available for budget. This year there's less funding available. And so we are really lucky. It's a little bit of a luxury at the state broadband office to have over $1 billion in funding for broadband initiatives. I think, I don't know, we didn't see a ton last year, so we'll see what happens in January, but I am not in the business of predicting what happens in the legislature because I think I will always be wrong.
Okay. And John Kelly, who I'm sure you know, is usually on the calls, but he had a conflict also this morning.
Oh, we have a legislative team that works closely with John Kelly. He's probably more ear to the ground than I am on what happens down there.
He's been a part of this task force long before the task force existed. So he did a good update last week, and excuse me, and Again, he couldn't be here today.
Fabulous.
So with that, Maggie, if you got to go, you got to go. But thank you very much for taking the time to
Yeah.
be here this morning.
Yeah, thanks. I'll drop my email in the chat.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the broadband office. Karen, Crystal, you guys have any updates that you want to share this morning?
Hey, I'm not sure if Karen plans on chiming in, but I think Maggie pretty much covered everything. This past week was focused on those working groups, and I think they were very successful. We have a lot of feedback from folks in the group and a lot of things to sort of take back and to the planning table, really.
Okay. So, so the big thing that's going to be happening is you got part 2 coming out pretty soon, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So the initial proposal, volume 1, is still up on the ACA page. We're going to be closing that feedback, if not today, very soon. But of course, all feedback is welcome, however you send it, if it's through our broadband email. So don't worry if you're not able to get all of your feedback in. And then we're going to be posting volume 2 next Monday. So that's going to be November 6th. And that's going to be quite a hefty document. We're also planning on doing a couple of webinars for folks for interpreting volume 2. So we'll have more information on the time and date for those webinars.
So just Chris, I'm sorry, go ahead. Is that Karen? Who was that? So Crystal, just to clarify, and we're going to get to Nicole next, but excuse me, but just to clarify, part 1 has really been focused primarily on process procedural kinds of issues. And part 2 is going to be more of the meat and potatoes of the plans. Am I correct about that?
I would say volume 1 which is already posted, that has information on how we're going to define our community anchor institutions. So it's got the categories for that. We've also posted a list of those. You're welcome to, send suggestions. It's got some information about the challenge process, like pretty high level overview without getting into the details of any type of software or anything like that. This volume 2, yeah, it's going to be a hefty document. There are, I want to say, like 15, we call them NTIA requirements, but topics ranging from the subgrantee selection process. That's going to be a bulk of the document, down to workforce affordability, climate, our current, outreach strategy. So yeah, it's a very large document.
Well, and again, I know you're going to plan some webinars and stuff, but I'll talk with you guys and talk with Karen about wanting to do some sessions specifically for the task force. Well, anybody who wants to participate, but specifically for the task force, that would not be just a webinar, but some discussion, kind of what the governor's office has been doing. So we can talk about that offline, but.
Yeah, and actually, I think I misspoke when I used the term webinar. I'm not sure that it's going to be so much a webinar format as it is like roundtable. I'm not sure if it's a space for feedback so much as we're kind of telling you our thought process and how to interpret the document.
Okay. Well, again, we can talk about that offline.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today, Crystal. Appreciate your participation. Karen, are you back? Are you online? Karen, are you there? Okay. Well, moving on. I know Perla is, as we mentioned, is not here today. Nicole, are you online?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Nicole.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
got
and
some things you
I'm
wanna
happy to
share?
go over. Yeah, I have a quick initial proposal slide just to show those requirements if you want a sense of it. But I'm also happy to come back next week or another to give a short overview of the initial proposal, if that's going to be helpful for this group. And of course, any other walkthrough or explanation of the requirements, that's what I'm here for. So I'm always happy to take those questions. But the big kind of the big news that I wanted to share this morning, a lot of you may already be familiar because the announcement came out last night, but NTIA officially issued the waiver to the letter of credit requirement in the BEAD program. So this is seen as a big win for all of us, especially those who like waiting a year for federal processes to take place before any rules can be changed. But this is really seen as a way to modify the potential means of accessing credit for all BEAD applicants. That makes the program more accessible for small and minority-owned businesses, as well as small ISPs that may have had issues. I see Heather dropped the links here, so that is the blog post, and I'll link to the waiver itself.
Okay.
As well.
Cool.
He just woke up, I guess.
Okay, Bob.
Okay. But this is really exciting. There's actually instead of that requirement to get a letter of credit from a select number of financial providers at no less than 25%, there are actually 4 different arrays that applicants have, and that includes accessing that letter from a credit union. It includes the use of performance bonds. It includes allowing eligible entities to reduce the obligation milestones. So that's where the state could actually set milestones on when the amounts of performance bonds would need to be fulfilled. And then there's also an alternate letter of credit or performance bond percentage where you actually secure a lower amount that increases over time instead of kind of the opposite full amount at the start as was originally prescribed. So this is a big win. I hope that, I know that members of this group have been signatories on some advocacy letters, including from Shelby, or it's been brought up in other conversations that we've had. So just wanted to share to celebrate that with you.
Great, thank you, Nicole. Anything else?
I posted the link for the broadband grants manager.
Okay.
That would be working a really key role in the ACA, supporting the management and distribution of all these funds. So we really need someone slick in that position.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for being here again. And you do have, so we will definitely schedule some time. You have some really great slides that do a really good, quick overview of a lot of this stuff. So I assume you'll have some similar kinds of things with volume 2.
Yep.
So we'll definitely want to have you do that. So some of the slides that you've shared in meetings have been really great. Helped me to think through some things that I hadn't really been aware of. So thank you. Okay. Anything else from again, Karen? Are you back or not? I guess not. Okay, let's move on. Mylan, what's your schedule? Are you going to be able to hold on? I'm actually going to try to end the meeting here about 8:45. So, but if you have anything else, anything that you want to share this morning? Mylan, are you still there?
Yep. Nothing to share. I'm just attending and listening this morning. I'm good till 9 o'clock today.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and give us your update this morning?
There's nothing new from last week. Last week I shared that the FCC is going to be approving Wi-Fi on school buses. there's a lot of debate around the rules and if we'll be able to use school buses in the community like a lot of people do today, if and the cost and where the cost is coming from. And there's still a lot of talk, but the big news is they're going to allow Wi-Fi on school buses. Still no cybersecurity with E-rate. So that's really the only big changes with E-rate.
Okay.
As of today, we have about, let me look.
Mylan, can you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, I'm the state E-rate director for schools in Arizona. I manage E-rate. I manage the broadband special construction, running fiber to rural schools, and I manage the Final Mile project. Right now, for the 2023 funding year, we have $54 million worth of E-rate that's come into the state so far. So, as opposed to 72 million from all of last year, 99 million the year before. So we're on track so far for this year, since it's only November, and that funding will continue, you know, for another several months. So we're doing well.
Well, that's awesome. You know, again, I said this last week, but Mylan has done an incredible job in bringing money into the state and managing the E-rate funds and getting the schools connected and so forth, and then expanding even beyond that with the Final Mile project. So again, Mylan, awesome work. Appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, Steve.
You bet. So John Kelly is not here today, and Mala, I just got a note from Mala that she's at a conference, so she won't be here today. So let's, Aaron, I believe you're on. Yeah, I believe you're here today.
I am here. I don't have much of an update either. We, you know, reported previously in a meeting that, you know, we just wrapped up our state library conference, and now our big focus at the state library is wrapping up our previous grant cycle with our libraries. And so all of us are furiously collating reports and letting everybody know how we spent our money this year. So not a ton to report from my perspective either, unless there are questions.
Okay. Anything else? Anything new? I know you've been furiously working also on the telemedicine project. Anything new and update with that? I know you kind of gave us a little briefing last week, but
yeah, no, not much to report there. You know, this is kind of that changeover time period where we're wrapping up the previous reports and everything. So I'm sure that we will have updates on telemedicine projects in upcoming meetings.
okay, sounds good. Okay, Holly, are you online? I don't think so. I don't believe Holly's here today. And Janet Major's not here. Karina Jones, hopefully she'll be back. She had some health-related issues and has been out for a while, and hopefully will be back again. Cindy, are you online? I don't think I saw Cindy this morning. Okay. All righty. So, and don't think I saw Rory. Where is everybody this morning? Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Rory. Hey, good.
Good morning.
Introduce yourself, Rory.
I got a pardon.
Introduce yourself, please.
So I'm the head of Triad Wireless in Phoenix. We worked on the Final Mile project with Mylan. We did 8 towns, I believe. Those are all doing well. Guys are out there. We've even got one town that's doing so well. We have a full-time tech out there working it. We have but they're going well. Guys are out doing installations in Holbrook, Forest Lakes, and one of the other ones yesterday. Sorry, I've lost track. There's too many projects going on. But so it's continuing to grow. We're actually starting the ASU project today also. That we've have 8 installs scheduled for out here in the Isaac School District. And so there's the first residential installs go on, and I think we have about 70 or 80 people already requesting service. So that project launches today, basically, in terms of the residents being connected.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. So Elena, I see you're online. There's probably a lot of things you might want to talk about, particularly what's happening with ACP and how people can provide input.
Yeah, hi Steve, thanks. Well, I don't really have a ton to report. We're actually just nose to the grindstone. Most people know by now that there was a supplemental funding request that included $6 billion to keep the ACP program running through 2024, which is really just a little bit of a band-aid, but it will be, extremely helpful for families and for people who need that benefit. So obviously, Common Sense is working on making sure that funding does get approved. And so, if anybody has connections with their legislators at the federal level, now would be a great time to remind them how important the ACP has been for, 21 million families across the US. So yeah, we're just working. We continue to work with the city of Phoenix on ACP outreach. You should start seeing billboards around town as part of our awareness campaign, that we will be also continuing and doing even more with the Digital Equity Institute. Some of those billboards are up as well. That particular campaign is going to also dovetail into online safety and digital health, digital well-being, that kind of thing, as part of our work with the Digital Equity Institute throughout Maricopa County. So that's really it for now. We've reached probably 2,000 families through schools in the last, I would say 2 months or so. So things are going well, but slow and steady, I guess, is what we're doing. And yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Elena, I have a question. Hi, regarding the ACP $6 billion request for funding, do you have a one sheet on that? Because I am heading to DC next week and I'd be happy to drop it at the offices I'm visiting with.
Let me find out if we've done anything. I know we've talked about it, but when are you leaving?
I leave on Sunday.
On Sunday? Okay. If I can get something to you, I absolutely will, and I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, I'm dropping my email in the chat so you don't have to look it up.
Oh, great. Thanks.
So Elena, it's probably hard to tell about what's all the stuff happening in Washington these days. Are we getting any sense of where the support is or not for continuing ACP?
No. I mean, it really is hard to tell. I know that there are a lot of people promoting and pushing and advocating for the continuation, and we just have to see where all the chips fall by the end of the year. Fingers crossed.
Can I ask Aaron, can I ask a couple of questions? Concerning
Aaron
or Elena?
Elena, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
So when we started signing people up with ACP at this last event, most of the people didn't speak English. And we found that most of them many of them did not have social security cards or US documentation that would allow them to apply for ACP. How are you handling that?
So there's actually a few different ways. First of all, there's a number of different ways that people can have that eligibility, and then their documentation can be, for those that don't speak English, we have navigators that, for us personally, we've had navigators that walk through it with them, walk through the application process. We
do too, but they don't have that. They don't have ID. Well, that's only half part of the problem.
Do they have do they have anything that like their matricular, their consulate matricular from if they have that, they could use that. If they don't have a social,
that's usable for ACP.
Yes.
You called it a matricular, and I apologize, I've not heard the word. What does that mean?
It's kind of like an ID card from Mexico.
Okay. All right. So that's eligible. Have you guys run into the problem of people that don't want to give you your information because they're not here legally? They kind of consider that you are the government, basically, is what their position is.
We haven't run into it a lot, but what we have run into it, and like I said, there are other ways that that they don't have to be a U.S. citizen. So we tell them that, and I mean, trust is trust, and so in some cases they still don't want to sign up, and in other cases, they've they've said okay. So it just depends. I mean, I'm happy to send you, all of the different eligibility documents, because the other way is like if their kids are in school and their school is a free and reduced lunch school or a community eligibility provision school, they automatically are eligible for ACP. And so they can get that letter from their child's school. And I have templates of that letter. So there are other ways.
Whose name goes on the ACP request then? The parent who's not?
Yeah, well, the parents are applying, but they're using their child for eligibility.
Okay, all right, I understand. Thank you. That helps. So what do you do then with the last category? And this one doesn't apply so much for the ACP sign up, but we have to maintain what's called CALIA compliance, in the sense that we have to be able to identify and track any customer that's on, or provide, to law enforcement the information on that customer. They have a back door into our network, basically. Have you run into that issue at all with people that are not U.S. citizens?
No, because so the navigators that we're using through the Digital Equity Institute at ASU, they scrub all of the data at the end of the process. So we've not run into that at all. I've not run into that personally, but I know that the Equity Institute is making sure from a privacy standpoint that that we are compliant.
It's not a privacy issue. It's a Homeland Security issue. Okay,
no
worries. I'll follow up on that myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. So a couple of quick things. Manny, I see you're still there, hopefully. If I can put you on the spot again, do you want to tell people just a little bit more? I know you gave us just a quickie. Do you want to tell people just a little more about what you're doing? And I mean, you're involved in so many things. Now, we could probably take an hour to do that, but do you want to share a little bit more about what you're doing?
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. I was actually hoping to have the time to bring up a couple of future or upcoming events that we have next week. We're organizing what we're calling AZ Cyber Happy Hours, where we're creating a space. We want to say thank you to any current partners and sponsors, companies and organizations that we already work with, and to also showcase the impact and a little bit of data and numbers around the students that we've served so far, as well as the results from this last summer and all the boot camps that we hosted throughout the state. I encourage, and I would highly advocate for those that are even just looking to learn more about AZ Cyber and the organizations that we already partner and work with, or how your organization can get involved. And this is open to students, educators, industry, other nonprofits, local, state government folks, because there's different ways and avenues where we can work together. I guarantee you that. But at the end of the day, it's all in the benefit of students that are just getting introduced to cybersecurity and learning about it likely for the first time. The purpose with industry is to hopefully get them plugged in either through our speaker program or mentorship, or even leading up to potential internships, virtual internships, where we pay students for meaningful work that they do to support small and medium-sized businesses or even large enterprises. The location, we're hosting one in Phoenix, Tucson, and Nogales. The first one will be Wednesday next week, November 8th in Tucson. That'll be located at Brother John's. Thursday will be at Phoenix, located at Axon headquarters. And then lastly, Nogales Friday, which will be at the Whitney Museum, Whitner Museum, sorry. And then if anyone is interested in attending, please feel free to drop your email on the line, or what I could do as well, Steve, if it's all right, I can just send an email to, you know, I know how people feel about just sending last emails to distros, but if that's an option, that could be easier as well. Or
It would be better,
the individual.
It would be better, Manny, for you to send it to me, and then I can include it in our communications.
Perfect. And I just one other update is I'm sure many are familiar with the NICE K-12 conference that is happening in Phoenix, December 4th and 5th. So I'm sure many of you will likely be there already. If you are, we'd love to connect. We'll be there both for a speaking session, but also for exhibitor. But at the conclusion of the conference on Tuesday, December 5th, we are hosting we're partnering with an organization called Pacific Hackers, and one advisor for our organization that works very closely with cybersecurity, venture capitals, and startups to host an event. The morning timeframe, we're going to host what we call a capture the flag. That is a very large cyber term for those of you that don't know, and it's basically a competition approach to learning about cybersecurity. That's going to be open and free for students at the high school level and college, and really open to anyone that is looking to learn about cybersecurity and play this game. And for those that are open to doing so in person, we will have a space where we're hosting the entirety of the event at Walter Studios in Phoenix. And that'll run from 9 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. And then we'll switch to a little bit more of a networking happy hour event where we're creating the space for industry executives, educators who will provide transportation from the conference to this event, so they can learn about AZ Cyber, understand from the needs of industry, and perhaps how educators can be advocates or help students be more prepared for the jobs that industry is putting out, and then how AZ Cyber can help fill the gaps, or how those organizations are working with AZ Cyber already to help fill the workforce gaps that they're facing. And then at the end of the night, we're making it an executive night, a cyber executive night roundtable discussion, where we'll hear from different C-suites, representatives from large companies, mostly in the Phoenix area, or located somewhere in Arizona, but we already we have registered attendance from folks from out of state and cyber companies like in Silicon Valley that will be participating and also kind of speaking from their behalf and from their companies. And that's also open to, while it's an executive roundtable discussion, we are opening that up to even students, because we want students' voices to be part of the conversation and for them to be exposed to these opportunities. We're opening it up for them to be a part of that, for educators as well, and for them to network, and for industry to also hear from students and educators. I welcome everyone here as well to attend. It's free of registration, and we're hoping that this will continue to be an event in a space where we can bring 3 different perspectives that often aren't in the same room at the same time. That's industry, K-12, and just different organizations. That's collectively, I think we can find ways of working together for the common good.
Is that all you're doing, Manny?
That's pretty much. Oh, actually, no. Actually, I want to say just one more thing.
Coming. Okay.
For this, no, just one more call to action, I guess, for the group. That if there's any interest in, we're currently working out the schedules for the summer cyber boot camps that we're hosting throughout the state. If you work for a school district, if you work for let me just say, if you're interested in perhaps working with us to find ways of hosting a boot camp at your school, or we work closely with some community colleges or universities to host it at their location in their computer labs where students can attend and have that almost collegiate experience as well while they're learning about cybersecurity. Please reach out to me. I would love to have that conversation, especially in rural areas. I know we do a lot of work in Southern Arizona, and we've done a middle school boot camp, a pilot in Wilcox, and that was a huge success. So looking forward, we want to do more for rural areas as well, and even hosting what we're calling family cyber nights over the spring and sometimes into the summer. So that's also an option if anyone on the call is interested. I'll drop my email, and if you just want to email me, and I'll likely loop in my executive assistant. Her name's Lulu, for her to just schedule a meeting for us, but we'd love to find a time to connect and just find ways of working together.
Yeah, and Manny, I
No,
know
that's
that
it, Steve, I promise.
So Manny, I know you and I had a chance finally to have a brief chat, and we're looking forward to your participation when we get our cybersecurity team going. But secondly, can people sign up for a newsletter or something where you share all these different things that are coming up, including me?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I can include that both in the email, but also going into our website, which I can drop in the link as well.
Yes.
There's an option to sign up for a newsletter. So I'll drop my email and the website as well, so people can have that accessible.
Yeah, and part of the brief discussion Manny and I had which is consistent with many of the discussions that we've had with this group, is that we want to figure out how do we engage students. We know that they're a great resource, and we want to make sure that we can somehow figure out how we can take advantage of the great talent of our young people.
Absolutely.
So
thank you, Steve.
Aaron, you put a quick question in for Manny or comment. You want to share that real quick?
Sure. I was just wondering if you were working with AZ Strut at all. They're a device refurbisher, and they do a lot of techie boot camps. And there might be a partnership opportunity there. And then I also just wanted to drop the idea of considering working with libraries, especially over summer. There's a fair number of kiddos that just hang out all day at the libraries, and that might be a nice captive audience for you. I'd be happy to make connections for you if you're interested in that.
On the first question, I haven't worked with them in the past, but I always say putting the ask back on the person with the great ideas. But if you wouldn't mind making those introductions, I would very much appreciate it.
Sure.
Our team has discussed the idea of hosting some boot camps at libraries, so this would be a great opportunity for us to revisit that and do so.
Sure. Well, just really briefly, I'll just let you know that on the state library's website, there's a directory in case there's areas that you're specifically targeting. Otherwise, we'd be happy to make introductions as well. We also maintain a list of, we call them presenters, like a presenter showcase, but there might be an opportunity there just to put your information out in front of a whole bunch of libraries for the summer reading program.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Sure.
This is why I'm here, because I've already learned so much.
Actually, it's too bad. Well, Aaron and I don't know if it would have fit, but they just had the state libraries conference, and probably would have been a great topic for discussion.
I'll just throw it out there for next year, Manny, if you're interested. The Library Association does have vendor booths and things like that too, where you can be in front of, folks who are potentially interested in working with you. Or there's always presentation opportunities there as well.
Absolutely. Any opportunities for us to get in front of people or for awareness to students, please feel free to send to us, and we'll be there. We're a small but mighty team, and we're very boots on the ground. That's what I always like to say. So we'll go anywhere where we can.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Manny. I'm glad you
Aaron.
made it today, and thanks for sharing all the great work you're doing. Okay. Anybody have any quick announcements? I need to end the meeting, but any quick announcements anybody has? Going once, going twice, then I believe we are done for today. And we will see you next week. Obviously, a couple weeks we got Thanksgiving coming up, and so we're going to have a meeting and do a virtual turkey sharing. Not only kidding. Nope, no meeting on Thanksgiving. So anyway, hopefully we'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot. Bye now.